Man, this is gonna be about Mike Tyson, Iron Mike Tyson, man. The menace from what the middle '80s, kind of like when he first started making his rise to like '90. Mike Tyson was that dude, man. Mike Tyson was. I wasn't into boxing at that point. I was into basketball and football. The Bulls, the Bears, but you know, um, I had a lot of uncles that loved boxing, man. I would watch it with my uncle Butch. I would watch it with my uncle Frank and Tony and all those guys. And every now and then, I would see a fight and ask them about certain fighters. And I remember people talking about Mike Tyson, man. I remember when I first started hearing about Mike Tyson, I'm like, okay, people were saying that he's gonna be better than Ali. He has crazy power. He's knocking everybody out in the first round. So I started looking at some of his fights with my uncle, and man, the dude was scary. The dude was scary, man. The dude was menacing. He was tough. He was fast. He was quick. I was taken by how fast that dude was. People don't realize how fast and quick Mike Tyson was. Mike Tyson was fast. Now, you know, um, not just the power, because everybody looked at Mike Tyson as just being a knockout artist, but Mike Tyson can box. I mean, Mike Tyson had boxing skills as far as he knew how to throw straight punches. You know what I'm saying? He knew how to throw a straight jab. He fought in the inside. He fought on the outside. He wasn't per se an outside fighter. He didn't fight out there for long stretches, but he can fight out there. He can use his jab. He had relatively short arms for a heavyweight. He was short for heavyweight anyway. I believe Mike Tyson was up, what, 5'10", 5'11", but he was big. He was thick. He was solid. Legs solid. You know, upper chest solid. You know what I'm saying? Big shoulders, big hands. He was big. For his short stature. He was just short, but he was big, compact. And I remember, the first big fight I seen Mike Tyson in, it was when he fought the Spinks brother, and the guy looked scared coming in the ring, and and Mike Tyson knocked him out in 92 seconds. I remember my uncle ordered it over my grandmother's house, and people were so angry with that fight that everybody called the cable company. I remember a lot of people calling the cable company, and the cable company reimbursing people money back for that Tyson Spinks fight because it was so quick, and people were his fights were so fast that ended so quick that people was at their wits end. You know what I'm saying? That fight right there, people thought that Spinks, coming off those two wins versus Larry Holmes, and people thought that Spinks was gonna give Mike Tyson a tough fight, and then when it ended in 92 seconds, people were angry, boy. You know what I'm saying? And the cable company, I remember the cable company reimbursing my grandmother, for that fight. And I remember the pay per view was $29.99. You know what I'm saying? I remember when the pay per view was $29.99 for Mike Tyson fights. You know what I'm saying? Mike Tyson was making like $30 million a fight. See, Mike Tyson was making $30 million a fight back then. You know what I'm saying? And now, where a lot of stuff is, a lot of people getting paid a lot of money, but if you go per capita, it's not as much as what Mike Tyson was making back then. He was making $30 million back then. We thought pay-per-views were ridiculously high back then for fights. And right now they just so when you look at that Tyson Fury Wilder fight was $75 or something like that. Man, ain't no way in the world people back then would have brought that fight. We thought $30 was ridiculous, but getting back to the fight, I remember after he knocked him out, man, people said, man, ain't nobody gonna beat Mike Tyson, man. You know, any fight that he fights, the fight is not gonna go past 5 rounds, 4 rounds, 3 rounds. Some guys will be lucky to get out of the first round. And I remember when Mike Tyson Punch Out came out. When Mike Tyson Punch Out came out, I remember my friend was the first one to beat Mike Tyson that I know of, and I finally got to Mike Tyson. I remember the first time I got to Mike Tyson, because when you fight him, he comes out there and he just throw these crazy uppercuts. If he catch you with one of them, you had to be real good to get up one time. You had to be phenomenal to get your man up. You know what I'm saying? The second time, but if he hit you, you were down. And I remember when I beat him, I had to dodge like 20 uppercuts, and he throw them like fast, so you got to move like do. You have to see. That's why my hand game was so crazy on controllers, on the Nintendo controller back then. Um, I was quick with my hands, and you had to be quick. I still know people to this day that never beat Mike Tyson on Mike Tyson Punch Out. That never even got a chance to beat Mike Tyson. But I was one of the guys that beat Mike Tyson. I was happy, man. When I first beat that man, I was so happy, man. I don't think I played no more after that, because it took me a while to beat him. I don't think I even played no more after that. I just want to take my win and go home. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, and he became a cult classic, man. Like, Mike Tyson was very well liked. He was very well liked, but he had so many sponsors. Mike Tyson had sponsors up the ass. I mean, he had a lot of sponsors, and he was making money hand over fist. It was not until he got married to Robin Givens, that's when things started kind of going down for Mike Tyson, going downhill. Every as soon as he got married to Robin Givens, everybody was like, what I'm saying, she's just marrying him for the money. And that was what she was doing. She married the man for the money. You know what I'm saying? Mike Tyson was seeing Robin Givens, good looking woman, because Robin Givens back then was the girl. Back then, Robin Givens was the girl, and you know what I'm saying? Mike Tyson had her, and you know what I'm saying? And Mike Tyson Customato dying, and then Jim Jacobs, I believe his name was Jim Jacobs, he took over for Mike Tyson. Then when he died, and that's when Don King fully became Mike Tyson's everything, lawyer, everything. You know what I'm saying? Everything. And he went down from there, man. Mike Tyson was not the same fighter. After Kevin Rooney left the corner, he just stopped doing his fundamental things that he used to do to get on the inside. He mostly was looking for, you know what I'm saying, the one punch knockout. And by the time he signed to fight James Buster Douglas, I remember people saying, man, who the heck is Buster Douglas, man? Buster Douglas ain't going to beat Mike Tyson, because he was supposed to fight Evander Holyfield, but they had to postpone the fight because Mike Tyson got a cut in training. And then Mike Tyson was out for so long. And Don King said he wanted Mike Tyson to have a in-between fight before he fought Evander Holyfield. So he was gonna go to Tokyo and fight James Buster Douglas, knock him out, and then catapult into the big pay-per-view fight with Holyfield. So everybody just thought, you know what I'm saying, okay, he gonna knock this guy out real quick. You know what I'm saying? He gonna knock this. Thanks, man. Joel Lopez, 40 OZ. Thanks. So he just thought. Everybody just thought he was gonna knock him out, because we told my uncle, we was like, man, why you gonna order that fight, man? He's gonna, Mike Tyson gonna knock him out. And my other uncle, I remember my other uncle came in like about 3 or 4 hours before the fight started, and this dude said something that we thought was just so ridiculous. He said, if Mike Tyson don't knock him out in 5 rounds, Mike Tyson gonna lose the fight. We was like, man, dude, get out of here, man. Are you on drugs or something, man? Ain't nobody gonna beat Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson is not going to get beat by nobody. And it used to be a running joke. Would you rather will you let Mike Tyson hit you in the face for $1 million? I remember people used to say that. And a lot of people said no. A lot of people said no. So he was just that menacing. Like, he was the baddest man on the planet. I remember Mike Tyson making a comment in an interview. He said, God has not yet created a man that can beat me. I was like, boy, you right. Because I know I can't. I'm scrawny, skinny, 115, 20 pounds. You ain't got to worry about me. But, yeah, the fight started, and, Mike Tyson came out his normal style, but James Buster Douglas was handling Mike Tyson. He was controlling. Now looking at the fight now, I looked at it like 5-6 years ago. Now looking at the fight, I understand what I didn't understand what I was seeing then, but now I understand that man was controlling Mike Tyson with the jab. He was controlling the space. When Mike Tyson would get in so close that Mike Tyson, when Mike Tyson do that bob and weave, he would hold Mike Tyson on the inside. He was frustrating Mike Tyson. And when a fighter that has punching power, when you don't give him when he doesn't knock you out or hit you early hard and see your reaction to his punches, they tend to get frustrated, and that's what Mike Tyson, he was frustrated, and it was reports that Mike Tyson wasn't training. Now looking back on it, I seen a documentary that Mike Tyson had got knocked down in sparring, and things was not going right, and he was over there messing with the women, and just you know not training properly, and Buster Douglas' mom had just passed away, and he was, it was a perfect storm for him, and he just said, "Hey, shoot, my mom just passed away. I'm not scared of you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not scared of a fighter. My mom just passed away," and it was just a perfect storm, man. And I thought James, and look, we had controversy in this fight. You know what I'm saying? Everybody said that it was a lone count in this fight in round 7 when Mike Tyson hit him with the uppercut and knocked Buster Douglas down. Everybody said that the referee gave him too much time. Well, that was after the fight. During the fight, nobody was saying that. You know what I'm saying? That was just that was after the fight. And man, I remember Mike Tyson eye just swelling up real bad. I was like, man, dude, what the heck? Everybody in the house was shocked. I mean, everybody in the house was shocked that this man was getting beat. Like Mike Tyson was getting beat. That he was landing some crushing blows on Douglas, and yeah, he knocked him down in the 7th. But Douglas was taking that stuff, man, and nobody thought that nobody can stand up to Mike Tyson punches for long. Like eventually you gonna go, and Buster Douglas didn't go. And I remember when he landed that combination. I mean, now I did say Wilder combination was the Wilder, and I have to reassess that. Wilder combination was the best 1-2 combination as far as a right hand and hook I ever seen. But James Buster Douglas, as far as a 4-punch combination, when he kind of tapped Tyson with his jab a little bit, wore Tyson to sleep, and then he threw that uppercut, man. When he hit that man with the uppercut, man, if Tyson didn't have a thick, short neck, he probably could have broke that man's neck. That's how crazy that uppercut was, because Mike Tyson was walking forward, so he kind of walked into it and made the impact even more. And then he hit Mike Tyson with a hook, a right hand, and then another right hand or something like that, and dropped Mike Tyson. Man, that man started looking for his mouthpiece. Now, look, I got to give Mike Tyson all the credit in the world. That man got up. That man, I don't know how he got up from that. Now, people say that, Tyson Fury got up from that Wilder knockdown. Go back to that Tyson. Now, Tyson didn't get up in time, but go back to that Tyson Douglas knockdown. Go back to that combination and tell me, how did Tyson get up from that? Because that uppercut was vicious. That was crushing. And from then on in, man, it was downhill for Mike Tyson, man. Mike Tyson never properly recovered from that, because he was so known for being a bully, for being intimidating, for being all this and that. And once he lost, everything just came off. Now, Mike Tyson was still able to win some fights after that. He still fought what's dude's name, Razor Ruddock, and had 2 crazy fights with Razor Ruddock. And Razor Ruddock was a real good fighter. It was a lot of fighters back then that kind of sidestepped Razor Ruddock. Razor Ruddock was a real good fighter with some nice power. And Mike Tyson, and those fights was grueling. You know what I'm saying? I think those fights kind of finished Mike Tyson too, because those were some grueling fights, man. I'm talking about grueling. And they fought twice. And then, Mike Tyson went to prison. You know what I'm saying? And then that's how the rise of Holyfield. Well, Holyfield was already on the rise. Holyfield was a great cruiserweight, but that really kind of made a lane for people like Holyfield, Riddick Bowe, George Foreman was coming back. Tommy the Machine Morris, the guy that played in Rocky. What's the other guy? The guy that was in the military? What's his name, man? He the one that knocked out Tommy the Machine Morris. I get his name, but that made a lane for him. That made a lane for a lot of those heavyweights, and, no, and those heavyweights was supposed to be the ones. See, those was what that were the guys that was coming up that was going to fight Mike Tyson the next year or so. If Mike Tyson would have got past Holyfield, Bo and them would have been there. Lennox Lewis, with all them guys would have been there, and then we could have seen Mike Tyson get challenged more. But we never got to see it in his prime because he went to prison. And Mike Tyson was in prison for what, 3.5 years, almost 4 years. That's a lot of time, man, out of your career. That was essentially was his prime. He spent his prime in prison. He got out. He wasn't the same fighter. He got out. We finally got the Holyfield fight, but he wasn't the same fighter he was before he went to prison. Now, people say could have Holyfield have beaten him back when they were supposed to fight. I think Holyfield could have beat him then because Holyfield had all the ingredients. He had all the ingredients that James Buster Douglas had, except Holyfield was more of a dog. Holyfield was a dog because back when they were amateurs, Holyfield's a couple years older than Mike, and I guess they were playing pool, and Mike Tyson, they was playing whoever lose got to give up the pool stick. Mike Tyson lost to this one guy, and he didn't want to give up the pool stick. And all the other fighters on the team were intimidated by Mike Tyson, but Holyfield wasn't. And Holyfield told him he better give up that pool stick or else, and he gave it up. So, that was a mental edge right there. I don't care what nobody say. That's called mental edge that a fighter has over you. And I never seen Holyfield as being scared of anybody. Holyfield fought everybody, man. That's another video for another day. Holyfield, fighting everybody. But yeah, and it was reports that, and then we're gonna talk about the long count. Don King came out and said that it was a long count. He thought he was gonna get the call overturned because they was in Tokyo. They wasn't on U.S. soil, and he thought, his star power and by Tyson being a star, and they came over there to fight, that they would be able to overturn it. But the Boxing Commission didn't overturn it because just what I said. The Boxing Commission said, although they thought the count was long, the discretion is up to the referee in the ring. And that's it. And there's nothing you can do about it. You can't go back and change it because unless the Boxing Commission is going to come up with one standard on how you count, or unless they're going to have a robot counting or this or that, it's up to the referee discretion. And Don King had to eat it. You know what I'm saying? He stopped pursuing it, and Buster Douglas was the champion. You know what I'm saying? Buster Douglas did get knocked out by Holyfield in his next fight. Then Holyfield, that's what catapulted Holyfield to fighting Riddick Bowe 3 times, fighting Lennox Lewis 2 times, fighting Michael Moore 2 times. Man, Holyfield fought everybody, man. Holyfield fought, did he fight John Louise? I think he fought John Louise. He fought a lot of people, man. But yeah, man, I just want to say my piece on that, man. Go look at that documentary on 30 for 30, 40 to 1. If you're a young guy, you know what I'm saying, you don't remember seeing, or you never seen Tyson or heard about that, it's a good documentary. I lived it, so I know about it. I didn't really have to, I seen some of the documentary, but I ain't really had to see the documentary, the whole thing, because I know virtually what they're gonna talk about. Because Mike Tyson was, back then, Mike Tyson was in the news all the time, like all the time. There was one for a car crash that he had crashed his car into a tree. I remember one of his he had pet lions. He had white lions, and one of his lions attacked somebody that tried to come over his fence, and he was in the news for the Robert Givens thing. I remember he was on Barbara Walters' show, and Robert Givens called him a manic depressant, and he was just sitting there looking crazy. It was a lot of stuff, man. But yeah, man, let me get out of here, man. It's getting a little late. Thanks for coming through, y'all. Thanks for coming through. Yeah. Them 30 for 30 documentaries are phenomenal. Those are some really, really, really good documentaries.